A podcast? Did your radio show get canceled?
Fire. Low down and filthy, but the discipline is on point. Schooled myself, made my own dojo. A cold flow with the whole dose of soul. Maintain composure, even in theory. An anomaly, properties undiscernible to mere peasants. Use weapons that...
This week on The $1 Million Plan, we talked to John. John has a question that a lot of you have. Should you tackle your debt since your emergency fund's looking pretty good, or do you make your emergency fund look even better? And he's got more questions than that. He joins us now. Hello, John.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. I told my wife this morning, I was like, hey, I'm gonna interact with a John today, and she took that a different way. But it's nice to speak with you. What can we help you with? What are we doing here today?
Well, my wife and I are we feel pretty aggressive savers, and we've gotten close to 3 months of our spending kind of bundled up now in an emergency fund.
Okay.
So we're starting to figure out whether or not we want to keep contributing to that, or if we want to start redirecting those dollars toward paying off other debt like car loans or student loans.
Awesome. I'm excited. All right, let's take a look at your numbers. Let's see what you got going on. You have a total annual gross income of $140,000. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
And your net monthly income of roughly $8,400. How many people are working? Who's working? What's going on?
My wife and I both work. She is a nurse, so she does a few shifts a week. That allows her to also spend time with our 2 kids, but we both work full time.
Okay. And then how old are both of you?
I am 33 and she is 31.
Okay. And let's go full screen on John's information here. So you've got about, let's see, $18,000 in savings. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, that's across our emergency fund and then a couple other savings accounts that we have.
And so in order to have 3 months expenses, we're talking about what, $25,000 in savings? Is that what you're trying to figure out? Is do you go for that, or did you take out some of this other stuff?
Yeah, our goal was 25 for the emergency fund, and we're getting there. We have a little way to go, but we weren't sure if we should just start contributing less to it or cutting it off completely, since we have a pretty good cushion, and then pay off some debt instead.
Yeah, this is interesting. So from a debt perspective, you've got the $16,000 in student loans, and then what other debts do you have?
We have 2 car payments, just under $1,000 per month, that we'd like to get rid of.
Okay, and then so yeah, that's a lot. How much do you owe on those?
One is leased, and I don't know off the top of my head how much we owe on that one. But then our other one, we owe about $6,500.
Okay.
So that's the one we're trying to pay off by the end of the year.
That would be good. And then no other debts. You've got a 30-year mortgage. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So how much a month goes toward right now your emergency fund? Like how much are you able to accumulate each month in there?
We usually put at least $400 in per month, and then if we have any extra money, it'll go into either the emergency fund or one of the other savings accounts that we have.
Okay, so how often does that really happen? Because sometimes when I hear that, that means never. And sometimes I hear that means always. Like how often do you have more than 400?
Not too often, but sometimes we are able to put like another 100 or 150 in each month.
Okay.
It just depends on if, unexpected expenses come up or not.
So at $8,400 a month of income, where does your income go? Like how does that get used up? What's your mortgage payment?
Mortgage payment is $2,100.
Okay.
We have 2 529 accounts for our 2 children, so we put about $300 in there each month.
Okay.
Put a decent amount into the savings accounts each month.
We put $400. So you put more than the $400 in the savings account?
Yeah. So we have the emergency fund, and then we have a vacation fund, which we put like $50 in per month. So hopefully by the time our kids are old enough, we can go to Disney World or somewhere.
Sure.
So we don't put too much in there right now. Other expenses are student loans. That's a big one for us. And then we have things like we cut cable out completely, so we just pay for internet now. We're one of the cord cutting families.
Nice.
So we've reduced those bills a lot over the past couple of years.
And then what you have $16,000 in student loans, but how much are you paying towards them each month?
We pay around $300 each month in student loans.
Okay. Yeah, so let's work backwards. Let's take a look at your long term. So Nicole, if you pull up sort of what John's got going on in his investments and go full screen with that. We know that in your 401k and all that good stuff, we have about $175,000. Is that right?
Yeah, between our two 401ks and then I have a Roth IRA as well.
Okay. And then you put about $1,300 a month or so towards those investment goals. Is that accurate?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so that makes your $1 million day. Nicole, if you will go to that screen, your $1 million day is November 27th, 2031, the way we have that figured from a long-term perspective. November 27th, 2031, which would mean at the current pace you are preparing for retirement, at age 67, you would have, at your exact current pace, you would have $5.06 million set aside for retirement, which is $11,808 a month in take-home pay. But inflation adjusted, it would feel like in today's dollars, about $5,200 a month, which then begs the question, well, how does that affect what you're doing now? Like if you keep doing exactly what you're doing, you live on $8,400 a month now, but $5,200 a month would be available from your investments. When you hear that, how does that make you feel? What does that make you think?
It makes me think we definitely have to cut out some spending now, whether it's some of this debt that's short-term, like car loans and student loans, and then potentially make some other decisions with lifestyle and how we're spending our money each month.
How based on your professions, you're at $140,000 gross right now. Where do you think, and be conservative here, where do you think that's going to be 2 to 3 years from now? How far off of 140 are you going to be?
Well, I've been pretty fortunate in my profession where I've gotten promotions over the years, so I would expect to get another one in the next year or two,
okay.
And that would make things much more comfortable for us.
And so let's pick a number. I know this sounds like a curse. I'm knocking on wood. Don't worry. What would be a raise that you would think would happen in the next 12 months? And again, I'm not jinxing you, I promise.
Maybe another 10 or 15 gross added to my income.
Okay,
that would put us total around 150, 155.
All right, let's go with 10. Okay, so I want to do an example here. 10, which would then be $833 a month gross increase. But after tax and everything else, is probably netting out another $600 a month of disposable income for you. So the question becomes, as we look at your situation, not only are we trying to answer your operative question here, which is, do you focus on the debt now versus emergency fund, but it's also what happens when that additional $600 a month comes around, right? And that's how I think you need to think. Because how old are your children again?
2 years and 2 months.
Are you getting any sleep, John?
Starting to.
Is your wife getting any sleep?
Yeah, we both try to keep things even at night, but we're getting a few hours each.
So here's the challenge, right? Not only are we trying to make the right decision with the discretionary income now, but if we look a year out, we have to say, what are we willing to do with that $600? Like if you got a $600 a month net raise right now, I would assume and I would hope, John, that you would do the exact same thing with it that you plan to do with this $400, which has become sort of our discretionary amount.
Yeah, we would probably prioritize some of the short-term debt. I think we would definitely be able to pay off that first car loan much faster, and then we would probably tackle student loan debt next. The other car is being leased, so we're not sure what we would do with that one yet.
Yeah, so when you think about lifestyle creep, this idea that when our income goes up, sometimes our lifestyle and our expenses go up too, is there a particular area of your life, if you got a pay increase, that you would worry that you and your wife would spend more money on? Is that a concern of yours?
A little bit. We have we have a relatively new home, so we're big on doing home projects now. So a lot of times we have to force ourselves to, if we get a pay raise, one of us gets that, we look at it as either, okay, now we can start to save up for a patio or some other home project, or we can contribute to paying off something like our car.
Right.
So we always wrestle with that.
And then you do a pretty good job of leaving your emergency fund alone?
Yeah, we have some pretty strict rules with that. We have never taken anything out. We really only want it for true emergencies.
Yeah, as I look at your situation, it just seems like one that within 2 years, legitimately 24 to 30 months, that this looks completely different than it does now. I was talking to one of my coworkers this morning about there's these periods in our lives in which we sort of run on a treadmill. Like we just totally run in place. We do the best we can. In your situation, not only are you doing the best you can, you're doing a good job. I mean, objectively a good job. But your situation gets a heck of a lot better 2 years from now. Do you feel that way?
Yeah, we definitely see the finish line with a lot of the things we're trying to pay off. But like you said, we're still in the middle of it right now, and we just have to keep plugging away what we're doing if we want to get to that finish line on time. But yeah, we know that in a couple years our situation will likely be better.
Now you're on this podcast, which either means you're a glutton for punishment or you are the person that drives change financially within your relationship. Is that fair, or do you both have the same sort of attitude towards your financial lives?
We both have the same attitude, but I would say I pay closer attention to it.
Okay.
And I'm the primary saver, so as far as like allocating what goes to what each month and when we want to increase our monthly contribution to our emergency fund or 401k,
Yeah.
I usually own those decisions.
So now that you had the second child just a couple months ago, were you always at $300 a month on the 529, or did you bump it to $300 recently?
So that's $300 across the two of them. We were contributing $175 per child.
Oh, okay. Wouldn't that be $350?
Or yes, I would.
Well, look, I'm not good with numbers here, John, but it turns out I am. So, okay, so this is the way I look at your. We're going to answer your question. Don't worry. Like, I know you're thinking, just answer my damn question, but I'm getting there. Long term, on a scale of 1 to 10, you're probably about an 8.5 to 9, right? I mean, you're not fully funded. Like, you're not on a path right now to have your retirement fully funded without changes occurring. And when I say that, that means I'm not going to assume you're going to get a raise. I'm not going to assume that 401k limits go up. I'm not going to assume any of those things. I'm not going to assume that you take the money when you get out of debt and put it towards retirement. I'm just saying, if you legit do exactly what you're doing right now with the exact same circumstances, you're at an 8.5 to 9. Okay? Now, will you get raises? Probably. Will that impact how much you're putting in your 401k and how much is matched? Yeah. Will those limits go up over time? Once you hit 50, will you put $24,000 a year in as opposed to $18,000? Yes. So you're probably a 10, but I'm not going to count and call you a 10 because things would have to change that aren't currently occurring, and I have a problem with that. So take that however you want to take it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, lots of unknowns out there that could affect my situation.
So let's go to short term. Let's go to the short term. Short term. Any reasonable emergency could happen, and again, not jinxing you, and you'd be okay for a little while, right?
Yeah, for a couple months, but then, I mean, depending on what the situation is, we could run out pretty quickly.
Yeah, and I understand that. I think that car loan to me, and even such a low student loan balance of $16,000 to me, are more important. I'm starting to answer your question, by the way. Are more important than getting 18 to 25, right? Are more important than taking your $18,000 of emergency fund to $25,000 emergency fund, because I think once those things are done, then you've just increased the amount of discretionary funds each month that you can put towards your goals. The only thing that scares me with your situation whatsoever, other than an immediate onset emergency like right now, is lifestyle creep. I don't know you from Adam. I've listened to you talk now for 16 minutes, and I've done most of the talking. I worry about lifestyle creep. Should I be concerned about that, or am I just completely fabricating this?
We've gotten smarter with how we're living our lifestyle now that we have 2 kids. But, if you rewound to a couple of years ago, I think it would have been a much different situation. So I think we've gotten much more responsible now. And over the past couple of years, we've really bumped up how we're saving and where we're saving. So little things like, I feel the same way about my car payment. I despise sending that check every month for something that depreciated in value the second I bought it.
Yeah.
So having that extra money and putting it towards anything else, whether it's savings or, something for my children for college, I would feel much better about it. So the quicker I can check those things off and just get that into savings, I think will put us in a better situation. And then we just have to be smart about, if one of us does get a bump in pay, making sure we put those dollars in the right place instead of just spending it or putting it towards, a new home project.
Yeah, so there's a couple things I want to talk about there that you just said. Number one, I think anyone, their goal is to be out of their stuff buying stage by the time they hit 33 to 35. Like, I feel like late 20s to into 30, that's where you get a little bit more disposable income and you just start getting stuff. And it sounds like that was you, but you are on your way out of that stage. Does that sound right?
Yes. Yeah, we are on our way out of that for sure.
Number two, what's the deal with the lease? So that was clearly a decision made a few years ago, probably in your stuff accumulation phase. It doesn't seem like everything else you have going on a lease, unless I'm crazy. It doesn't seem like makes a lot of sense for someone in your financial situation. What's going on there?
Well, my wife would kill me if she ever hears this podcast.
Oh,
but,
well, we don't have any listeners. It's okay. You're fine. Go ahead.
She's kind of a car snob, and she's admitted to it, so
Yeah.
I'm allowed to say that.
Yeah.
So that's the reason we have a lease.
It's a nicer
newer
car.
Jeep.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah.
Does she have, so it's a newer Jeep, does she have like upside down on the top of the windshield? Like,
No.
if you can
No,
read this, flip me over?
Not that type of driver.
Okay,
no,
well, just
thankfully.
wondering, those Jeep people. Okay, I'm not going to talk you out of that, by the way, but I'm just curious, is that something that you've mentally accounted for is always going to be a thing?
Yeah, but now that we have kids, I think we're still weighing whether or not we'd want to keep that Jeep or if we want to get something else that's
Sure.
a little more economical for us.
Okay.
But yes, we've definitely thought through that a lot ever since leasing it. But now we're in it for another year and a half.
Yeah, I mean, look, everyone has a vice, and I think clearly her vice is you called it being a car snob, which I would never say those words. I would just say she's got a vice, and if that's the vice, that's fine. But you just got to account for it. Tell me about housing, right? So you're in a relatively new home, right?
Yes. Yeah.
How long will you stay there, do you think?
We want this to be our last home.
Oh,
we got
great.
a really good deal for it. It's a brand new home. It's right in between where our families live, so that helps out a ton with childcare. So we're hoping to stay in this house.
What part of the country do you live in?
We live out in Pennsylvania suburbs.
Yeah, I'm picking up an accent from you. Do you think you have a little bit of an accent?
Some people have told me that before.
Well,
I don't think I do, but I've heard it.
You do. I speak Hoosier, though, so go figure. All right, so you know where this is going. You got 2 young kids. Everything's going so well. Where are you at life insurance-wise?
We both have life insurance, both fully covered. Both have health coverage. I'm actually switching over to my wife's in a few months. Hers is much better than mine.
What's fully covered mean? What the hell does that mean? Fully covered? I mean, like, well, your life insurance, you're fully covered. What does that mean?
Well, through my employer, we have life insurance, and then I think it's called accidental life insurance. So if something happens through work, I'm covered for that too. It's a separate thing that comes out of my pay.
How much?
I don't know off the top of my head.
Then you're not fully covered. John, this is going so well, John. Oh, I'm getting all sweaty. Okay, listen, John. Gosh, I gotta have this talk with you. John, you're gonna watch this on Pete the Planner TV when it comes out. So I'm looking right at you in the camera here. Dude, everything's going so well. This is a beautiful situation. You have to know how much life insurance you have, and probably if you have it through work, you're not fully covered. And if you point to accidental death, you're not fully covered, because sometimes, although we don't intend to die, we don't die accidentally. We die with disease, which isn't accidental. Right? I mean, think if you get something, you die, you leave 2 young kids, and you're not fully covered. So this is the hole in your armor, right? I mean, no one wants to buy life insurance, believe me. No one wants to buy it. But this is a problem, man. You should probably have about $1 million of life insurance, based on your income.
Okay, yeah, I think it's only two or three times my income.
So you're at $150,000 a year? Well, how much is your? I know you're at 100. How much is yours?
I'm at 105 a year.
You're at 105. So you're what? 210 of coverage?
Roughly around there, yeah.
No, come on. Right, that's not going to work. Do you instead of me just yelling at you, do you understand why that's not enough, or do you want me to explain it? I'm asking seriously.
I do. We've never looked into it outside of what we get through our employer, but like you said, with our lifestyle now and our situation, we should probably increase it a lot.
Let's get weird for a second. I was in Milwaukee yesterday taking a shower. Okay, just don't imagine this, okay, John? Just listen. Don't imagine me in the shower. This is true. I'm in the shower. I'm on the road, about to get ready for a gig that day. And for some reason, and I don't know what the hell, why. Well, actually, I do know why. I had a friend die last week. He was 35 years old, had a heart attack. And I just started thinking about him, and he didn't have kids. And I started thinking about my situation. And then I just started getting sad in the shower by myself in Wisconsin, which I don't encourage. And I started thinking through, like, that would be freaking awful if I die and I miss out on my kids being raised. And then the one thing that snapped me out of it was going, well, at least they'd be okay financially. Like, that's what snapped me out of this malaise in a shower in Milwaukee. And by the way, you'll never get that image out of your head. So I don't know, man. This is so interesting, right? Because you've come from the stuff buying stage, which you're now clearly coming out of, right? This is very obvious. You've structured everything beautifully. That's that one last lever to pull, besides having a will to say what happens if something happens to you and your wife at the same time, who takes care of the 2-year-old and the 2-month-old. Those last two pieces are what concern me. You're totally regretting this, aren't you?
No, this is what I needed and kind of wanted to hear, is where we need to get smarter with our situation. So life insurance is one that, we'll definitely talk about and focus on.
I say this with all sincerity as I look right into the camera. If you were here right now, I would probably kick you in the privates.
Because of the life insurance.
Yeah, I mean, come on, man. I mean, it's one of those weird things. Like, you're a smart guy. I can tell you're a smart guy. You're a hell of a lot smarter than me, right? But that's just one of those things. When smart people don't do that, I get it. But you got to change that. I mean, that's a weird conversation to have with your wife, right? Hey, talk to some random person on the phone today who makes it into a podcast, and he thinks we need life insurance. Like, that's a weird conversation to have, but ultimately you're doing it if something happens that their life isn't turned upside down. I say this coming from, I used to be in the financial business where I had 8 clients under the age of 35 die. And when they did, some of them had the right amount of life insurance and some of them didn't. And it was just, I don't know. Sometimes you don't forget those things. What else? Any other question? We'll change topics. Any other question? You can just get term life insurance. Just get a 20-year term policy. Are you a healthy guy, John?
I could be a little healthier, but...
Does that mean you need to lose weight?
Meaning, yes. Yeah.
Oh, look, so do I.
Read right into
look
that.
at me. Well, yeah, what you're supposed to say, I'm too short for my weight, is what you're supposed to say. I don't know. It might cost you less than $100 a month. For $1 million, you're 33... A little bit heavy, or a lot bit heavy?
A little bit.
Okay. I don't know. It might cost you $60, $70 a month for 20 years. All right. Anyway, any other questions? Anyway, before I send you on your slightly overweight way? So am I, so it's not judgmental.
I don't think so. The big one was just talking through, whether we cut off contributions to the emergency fund now or continue directing toward that. But I think my answer now is maybe we do that, but we instead invest in life insurance, and then maybe once, if I do get a promotion this year or next year, then start contributing more toward savings.
Yeah, I would completely get rid of your car loan and your student loan before I get back to savings.
Okay.
Because they're just silly debts. And yeah, that's exactly what I would do. So appreciate you being with us today. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
All right, keep us updated. When you buy life insurance, email us back, and then I will rescind the private kicking comment that I made earlier.
Yes, I would appreciate that.
When you talk to your friends later today, like, hey, a grown man said he was going to kick me in the privates, that's going to be weird for you later, right?
It is. It'll be a good conversation starter, though.
Hey, what happened to you today? Well, a grown man said he was going to kick me in the privates. All right, John, thank you.
All right, thank you.
All right, that's it for this week's show. Look, I don't know what I'm going to say. I'm sorry. But I will kick you in the privates if you don't buy life insurance. And I don't even sell life insurance. Can you imagine if you're trying to buy life insurance from like a guy comes to your house and sits at your table and he's talking to you about buying life insurance, and all of a sudden he goes, if you don't buy this, I'm going to kick you in the privates. All right, that's all I got. If you want to be on the show, be on the show. PeteThePlanner.com/podcast. That's it. We'll see you next time. Peace.
If you want to be on this podcast and have Pete fix your money life, then hit us up at PeteThePlanner.com/podcast. You heard me. PeteThePlanner.com/podcast. Log on.
This is for information purposes only. It's not the Swiss financial planning device. Consult a financial advisor.
Released from Everest, the fresh is fresh, and you can call me E.T. Word to John Tesh. Let me bless this harmonic presentation. It's amazing, so amazing. I'm the reason. Salutations, I bring you love, trying greetings from a faraway land. I am the sole controller. Put the remote down and let me take control. You're now a part of my zone, so enjoy yourself. Love Tron can restore your health. I bring you greetings, salutations. How you doing? And is that how y'all say it? The tinkling of the keys is an homage to the little star. I sojourn over poetic descriptions of sound and travel to my other world. Out of this world, spaceship on my arm took me home, fueled by the ink and the megabytes and the hypertext transfer protocol, stronger than the Skynet and the Terminator. I push faders into warp speed, glide with ease, creating a breeze they call a black hole. Event horizon, no rear view concerns. This I adjourn, and beats I burn. This I adjourn, and beats I burn. Salutations, I bring you love, trying greetings from a faraway land. I am the sole controller. Put the remote down and let me take control. You're now a part of my zone, so enjoy yourself. Love Tron can restore your health. I bring you greetings, salutations. How you doing? And is that how y'all say it?